Up in the mountains, in a picturesque Italian mountain town, lies a beautiful Castello. Surrounded by a luxuriant park in a suggestive position, today it has changed its characteristics compared to the ancient manor. These changes are attributable to the reconstruction by an influential Italian family after the attack by French troops in the late 16th century, and to subsequent massive renovations, the most significant of which occurred at the end of the 19th century. On the side of the main building, you can still identify the remains of the ancient medieval walls. Today, we will give you an exclusive peek inside as we investigate what's left behind. Welcome back everyone on a new adventure in the beautiful country full of history, Italy. Here I am in an abandoned palace which has a very rich history, so many belongings, furnishments left inside, and I just can't wait to show you this place today. So let's start exploring together and let's show you another incredible place in Italy. So let's start off this exploration in the room which I saw the first when I accessed. You can clearly see the advanced state of decay inside of this property. And that's because it's already been decaying for 14 or 15 years. It's been abandoned since 2006, according to the last newspapers we found. I think these chairs mostly used to stand in the garden. Look at the paintwork on the ceiling. It's been faded out. And then right in front of me, we make our way to the more interesting rooms this Italian palace has to offer us. There's something written on the wall. Oh wow, and look over here. We have a gorgeous grand piano from Vienna, Austria. 𝗦𝘁cie𝗿𝘆𝗶. It's still reasonably working. In such a good state. Over here the blooms. I'm gonna close this door to prevent any noises to get inside. I can't open it. Or it's like the other side. Wait, check it out. because I really want to have a look at the inside of the piano. Nope, not working. I'm leaving it. Well, look over here. Some tiny ornaments. Fake flowers. It's just empty. And this too. Also have a look at the unique lamp on top with the angels on the side. Okay, let's go to the next room. Wow. What I actually really love about this place is that I cannot remember that I've seen a place with a similar architecture and style like this one. It's something completely different again. Also look over here at this little corner seat they made with the pillow. I really like the plates on the wall too. And they also have a lot of curtains inside of this place. Over here, a bookshelf. And many books are actually written in French. And over here is also a dictionary to Spanish and to French. I guess the people who lived inside of here really loved to spend their time on traveling too. Look on the details on this cabinet. And then there is also still a game of chess right in the middle. On top we have this iron chandelier with electric candles. And you can clearly see the paint of the ceiling has all been fallen down on the floor. Well, then the next room is absolutely gonna blow your mind. Have a look at this abandoned beauty. Wow. My gosh. Oh my gosh. The paintwork is absolutely mesmerizing. This is Italian. And what the Italians are known for. They're very talented and detailed paintwork on the ceilings. Also the carrot standing here. And have a look at the fireplace. Some really nice carvings in the stone. A net in front. And also over here is still the wood laying for the fireplace. Sadly enough, this has been broken. It used to be like this. Well, this is quite modern art to me. Then just have a look at the room of this perspective, with the grand chandelier in the middle, the magical ceiling. You can clearly see that this was a very important building, which was inhabited by important and wealthy people. And it's located in a mountainous town. The most beautiful town I've ever seen in Italy concerning its landscape and just where it's located in the middle of nowhere. And then there lies this decadent palace, which has been neglected for years. And today I'm exploring it and sharing it with all of you lovely Explomers. Wow, the curtains. Also have a look at the cobwebs over here. Absolutely incredible. Well, this was the main entrance, where I also shot the introduction. Over here we can go up later. Let's go through these gates, through the curtains, and we enter another area. Wow. Okay, this was the dining area. And there's actually many tables and chairs. Almost looks like this was a restaurant, but I think they just used to invite many guests to their place. There is very modern artwork on the wall and I don't really like it. I really prefer the old portraits and paintings. Over here are some plates. They've been painted by hand. I really like the fireplace over here. And then let's go to the next area. There is yet another door over here. And it's actually leading us to a kitchen. Over here, many liquor bottles in the cabinet. Again, even more liquor. Some 𝗦𝘁cie𝗿𝘆𝗹𝗶. This is actually orange liquor. And it's from France. Well, then this was the kitchen. And have a look, it's actually a very homely kitchen. It doesn't look very old at all, but it definitely looks very cozy. These cabinets are empty. And over here are still several things inside. However, not anything very interesting to point out. This is actually cool, it's going from big to smaller to smallest. I think it was for spices or maybe for milk, wine, coffee, I don't know. Still all the plates, some porcelain work. And I think again these people had servants working for them, because over here you had a little hole and maybe dishes were served out. Could have been the case. Well, the fridge from Gibston has been emptied out. Some glasses. And over here is a newspaper from 2006, the 2nd of October, one day after my birthday. Looks like this has been fallen down, sadly enough. But yeah, you can clearly see what I was talking about. The kitchen just looks very simple and not anything very majestic. Just a homely, cozy kitchen. Alright, let's go to the next areas now. This was once the front door, and nowadays it's been covered by cobwebs and hasn't been opened for almost 2 decades. Now following the main carpet and talking about majestic, look at this. You've already seen it in the intro, but I can't stop staring at it. What a stairway leading up the building, with the arc there as well. Very, very unique banister. Wow. I also really like this. There used to stand some ornaments, and again, look, the figures of the ark. The pattern is coming back here. There's a little bathroom here. And what else? Wow. This still looks so pristine compared to the rest of the home. Looks like this was not even a real part of the palace, but just like an outdoor apartment or something. My gosh, this looks properly modern. I'm just quickly panning through here because I think it is not very special to show you. Well, this is quite funny though. Over here a bedroom. But let's go back to the older part. And that's the palace I've wanted to show you. My friend just told me that there is actually indeed, through that door, an apartment which is built right next to the property. Maybe for when they were having guests, so they had a place to sleep when they came over. Damn. There is again some newspapers over here. And this one is saying the 24th of August 2006. So again, the date 2006 is coming back. Then let's have a look behind this door. Oh, much dirt on the ground here because of the plants. Have a look at this little 𝗦𝘁cie. It would have been coming water outside. This angel and falling inside of here. Wallpaper is also peeling off. Wonderful vanity with some religious paintings. Some suitcases like they were just trying to leave. And then on top of everything, a wonderful wooden Italian bed. Sadly enough, there is not many personal things left behind anymore. So for me, it is very, very difficult to actually tell you a story about the last residence. Of course, when I'm home, I'm gonna do some research, which I hopefully could tell you in the intro of the video, but at the moment, I only know a date, 2006. Probably wealthy and important people living here. And that is as far as I can guess. This was just a wardrobe. Then over here was a bathroom again. Look, still the toothbrushes are laying inside of here. Again, so much paint has just came off and just leveled. Everything's laying there. Alright, well, then there are still several very, very beautiful bedrooms I want to point out. One is behind this door. Just have a look at it. To me, it looks like these beds are not very antique, but they have been restored. Over here clearly used to be a mirror. I think it's been broken and somebody took it away. There are some tiny details of the paintings on the ceiling, but they are very minimal. And what to me is actually very interesting is that this is a very, very old building which was renovated one day by someone. They painted everything in a blue color, but behind it you can still see the old paintings of how it was like one day. And I definitely prefer that over the ugly blue color they painted over it. But it was probably way too expensive to restore these paintings. Just look also over here, they painted the ceiling white. And over here you can still see the old paintings of how it used to be. And these details then really take my interest, because then you know this is a very old building. Somebody was renovating it, has renovated it, and it was being lived in. But then right now, why can't they find any new buyers? Is the owner still alive? Many questions that raise up to my head. Well, apparently they really like the color blue. It also comes back in a little bathroom over here. Let's walk down the corridor. Church bells are starting to ring. As we are in a very tiny town, most of the people are still very religious. And a very interesting room. Leaves are also falling inside as the window's been opened there. There are some holes. And then let's show you the last bedrooms. And after that I think we covered it all. So what's here? Okay. Also a very strange and messy room. A lot of cobwebs. Looks like this room was once used as storage and it was never looked after anymore after it. Again you can see the old paintings of 𝗦𝘁cie. And with that having showed, I want to close another memorable adventure in Italy right over here. If you enjoyed it, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for the upcoming few episodes as the Italy series are slowly coming to an end. What would you like to see next? Just leave it down in the comment section and we will see you on our next adventure. Peace out.